Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Catch, Hook, and Shoot. My name is Tom. I am your host. Gotta say thank you to everybody who's been checking out the show. Make sure you're looking for it on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Twitch, and wherever you find your podcasts at. And I hope everybody's following on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. And if you ever feel like shooting me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. So, gonna dive right in. Got a big show today. Got a longer show today, a little bit longer than normal. So some of the rumors going around in wrestling this week, Cody Rhodes was a guest at the Something to Wrestle With live show this past week. And something interesting stated that he actually turned down a contract offer from the WWE several weeks ago, which just lends more to the rumor that he and the Young Bucks are starting up their own promotion. So we'll have to see what comes of that, because obviously he did finish out his Ring of Honor commitments this past weekend at the Final Battle pay-per-view. Some other news: Ric Flair has stated on the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast that he has been cleared by his doctor to take bumps. Now, I highly doubt we're going to see that happen. WWE is never going to put him back in the ring in a position where he would have to take bumps or anything like that. May see him like take a slap or something like that if he gets involved in like a Charlotte storyline, but I think that's pretty much the extent of it. I don't expect to see Ric Flair back in the ring bumping around anytime soon. Some news regarding AJ Styles. Apparently, his contract is set to end this coming April in 2019, and all signs right now are pointing to him re-signing with WWE. There's really no reason why he wouldn't. He's been in a top spot pretty much since he signed with them from the get-go, so I would fully expect him to re-sign. On the flip side of that, Gallows and Anderson's contracts are also coming up in September of 2019. Is the date that's out there, and supposedly there is some major interest from New Japan in bringing them back, which doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, I can see a lot that could be done with them in New Japan as far as storylines with the Bullet Club and things like that. So we'll have to see where that goes, because they have definitely not been used to their full potential since signing with WWE. Apparently WWE has some interest in signing Rachel Ellering to a contract. Now, this really isn't a surprise. Rachel Ellering is one of the better female independent wrestlers out there right now, and this kind of goes along the lines of WWE trying to sign as much of the top independent talent that's out there as they can. I just hope that it's with them signing a lot of these independent talents that they have plans for them, and it's not just we want to have them so nobody else can, because that's really kind of an underhanded move, quite honestly, if that's the case, and it just diminishes the careers of these indie talents. And obviously it's good for their bank accounts and everything, but as far as not being utilized to their full potential, it can really, in my opinion, it can really be a detriment to their career. Interesting rumor, and that's all it is a rumor at this time, is WWE having interest in using Conor McGregor and Daniel Cormier in WrestleMania this coming year. Obviously, it wouldn't be in any kind of in-ring capacity. I don't think Dana White would allow that. But the rumor is that McGregor would be in Becky Lynch's corner and Cormier would be in Ronda Rousey's corner for a match between the two of them. Would definitely make things interesting, and definitely add some huge names to the WrestleMania card, and that I could absolutely see that match being the main event of the show. Another complete rumor and innuendo that's been floating around this week is regarding The Rock possibly winning the Royal Rumble. And that would put him in line for a title match at WrestleMania, most likely against Brock Lesnar if he's still with the company and still Universal Champion at that time. Again, 100% rumor and innuendo, nothing to back it up. This is just some, stuff that people throw around online, and a lot of times it's completely made up, which is what this could very well be. But again, an interesting little tidbit. Supposedly there is some butting of the heads in WWE creative between Vince McMahon and Triple H regarding the Universal Championship match at WrestleMania. Apparently, Vince McMahon wants to see Braun Strowman versus Drew McIntyre, which would indicate that sometime between now and WrestleMania, Strowman would be winning the Universal title. And the story is that McMahon wants to see McIntyre take the title from Strowman, so it would appear, based on this, again, 100% rumor, that McIntyre has kind of been tapped by Vince to be the new face of the company. On the flip side of that, Triple H apparently wants to see Seth Rollins take the Universal title from Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, which would mean Lesnar would obviously hold that Universal title all the way through to WrestleMania, and Triple H kind of wants to set Rollins up as the new face of the company, make him the new guy, so to speak. Kind of taking that Roman Reigns slot. Now, either one of those, McIntyre or Rollins, are definitely somebody that the fans could get behind and support as the top guy in the company. So I don't really think you can go wrong with either of those. But again, it's rumor. Got to wait and see what's going to happen. Something that's not a rumor, coming up this Monday on Raw, Vince McMahon's going to be making his return to TV to quote-unquote shake things up a little bit. So I guess we'll have to see exactly what that means. I think in all likelihood we're going to see a new Raw general manager named Kurt Angle is supposed to be at Raw as well this week, so could see him get that GM spot back, or we could see somebody new. I've seen Matt Hardy's name tossed around. Hulk Hogan's name's been thrown around for that position. So we'll have to see where this one goes. Some kind of, I don't know, I guess disturbing news would be the best way to put it this week. Apparently, according to Court Bauer and a tweet that he put out over the weekend, Ring of Honor tried to sign Phoenix and Pentagon away from MLW before their live show on Friday. The story is that Ring of Honor wanted Phoenix and Pentagon to show up at Final Battle on Friday and wanted to sign them to an exclusive Ring of Honor contract. If this is true, it really is kind of underhanded. I mean, again, like I said, this is from Court Bauer, and he didn't specifically state any of this. He just mentioned something about 2 talent raids and things like that. Didn't drop any names. Didn't say who was trying to steal their talent or who they were trying to steal. So this came from other sources that it was Ring of Honor trying to take Phoenix and Pentagon. If it is the case, it's really kind of sad, because the independent companies working together and sharing talent and allowing talent to go between them is really what's built up the independent scene to what it is right now. And to see one of those companies trying to undercut another is really, like I said, really kind of sad. So I'm hoping there's not too much truth to this fact that it was Ring of Honor trying to steal talent away from MLW. I'm hoping that it was some other case going on here, but who knows. Some NXT news. Nick Miller of the tag team The Mighty, or TM61, has been released, but it's not it was a case of he asked for his release and was granted it simply because he went back to Australia for the birth of his child and decided he wanted to stay there and spend time with his family. Obviously, living in Australia and trying to work a WWE schedule, which is predominantly in the U.S., has really got to be hard as far as family life goes. So WWE did grant him his release and left the door open for him to come back at any time. So hopefully we'll see him back in NXT at some point down the road. Another rumored release is Tucker from NXT UK. This has not been confirmed. The rumor just kind of started because his online profile was taken down from the WWE website. It could have just been taken down for some kind of update, or who knows. It doesn't necessarily mean he's been released from the company, but if he has, I'm sure an official announcement will be made at some point. Some kind of cool Ring of Honor news. Marty Scurll has a new little faction going on in Ring of Honor. Obviously, Scurll is part of the Elite with Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, and Hangman Page, who all of them finished their Ring of Honor commitments, have not signed new contracts, so are basically out of Ring of Honor at the time being. Marty Scurll was paired up with Brody King and PCO to form Villain Enterprises. And this happened yesterday, Saturday, at their show in Philadelphia. So I think that's a pretty cool little crew with Marty Scurll at the helm, apparently, as the leader of this new group. And looks like their first feud is going to be with the Kingdom. So it should, with Marty Scurll being the #1 contender for the Ring of Honor title, and Matt Taven claiming to be the real world champion. So it's definitely should be interesting to watch that unfold. A couple of highlights from Raw this past week. We had Seth Rollins come out, cut a promo at the beginning of the show. Basically, I saw this as WWE's way of acknowledging fan complaints over the last few weeks about the quality of the show and things like that. So hopefully by acknowledging it, going forward, they're going to do something about it. We'll have to wait and see. Again, Raw this week had some of the lowest ratings in history. Had new tag team champions crowned in Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. Heath Slater had his first referee assignments in a match with Lio Rush versus Elias, and then a TLC Intercontinental title match at the end of the show with Rollins versus Corbin. Of course, Rollins did retain the title. Moving over to SmackDown, we had the main event was Asuka versus Charlotte. Asuka won the match by DQ, and then pretty much had a three-way brawl between Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Asuka, with Asuka coming out on top, beating the other two down with the kendo stick, and standing tall at the end of the show, making her look really strong going into the pay-per-view coming up tonight at TLC. NXT UK unveiled their tag team championships this past week. Some really pretty sweet looking belts. I know I say a lot about WWE having too many titles, but you don't really see any crossover of championships other than between NXT and NXT UK now, I guess, with Pete Dunne kind of going back and forth, and you may see some NXT guys going to 205 Live here and there, but you don't really see championships crossing between brands, so I guess this is just kind of something we're going to have to get used to, each brand having its own set of championships. On NXT, on the US side, North American Championship, Ricochet put out an open challenge and had a quote-unquote mystery opponent. That mystery opponent ended up being Tyler Breeze, making his return to NXT television. And the Tyler Breeze in NXT is a completely different Tyler Breeze than you see on Raw or SmackDown. It was a fantastic match between these two. And then coming up this next week on NXT, we've got a steel cage match between Johnny Gargano and Aleister Black. I'm really looking forward to that one with these two guys. And we're going to see the TV debut of Donovan Dijak, now known as Dominik Dijakovic, in NXT. I'm still not fond of that name, but I don't know if they're gonna use the Dominic part, or if they're just gonna call him Dijakovic or Dijakovic, however you say it, because that's really the only name that they're showing in his vignettes that have been hyping his debut. So he may just be known as Dijakovic. Who knows? Ring of Honor had their final battle pay-per-view on Friday. Just going to kind of go through real quick here. Jay Lethal is still the Ring of Honor World Champion. The Briscoes are the new tag team champions. Jeff Cobb retained the TV title against Hangman Page. Kelly Klein is the new Women of Honor champion. Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Jonathan Gresham in what was, from what I hear, a fantastic technical wrestling match. Matt Taven defeated Dalton Castle. Marty Scurll defeated Christopher Daniels to remain number one contender. And Flip Gordon defeated Bully Ray in an I Quit match that apparently had a lot of run-ins. Sounds like it was a very entertaining match. Moving on to the TLC pay-per-view, which is tonight. First match, I would assume this is going to be on the kickoff show, is the final of the mixed match challenge with R-Truth and Carmella versus Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox. Whoever the winners are in this will get the number 30 spot in their respective Royal Rumbles. Honestly, I don't think this matters too much. I don't see Truth or Carmella or Jinder or Alicia winning the Royal Rumble. Carmella maybe. I mean, she was in that top spot in the women's division on SmackDown for a little while there, but since she lost the title, she's, kind of been, I guess you could say, more or less mid-card status. So, like I said, I don't know how much this actually matters. By all accounts, not by all accounts, but the rumor is there's going to be a swerve pulled at the Royal Rumble, and The Rock is actually going to come out in that number 30 spot. So we'll see how that plays out. We've got an Intercontinental title match, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. I mean, I don't think it's possible for these two to have a bad match. This could possibly be the match of the night that just steals the whole show. I've got a TLC match between Braun Strowman and Baron Corbin. If Corbin wins, he is the permanent GM of Raw, and if Strowman wins, he gets a Universal title match at the Royal Rumble. I'm looking for Strowman to win this one and for Corbin to be out as the Raw GM. Like I said, I fully expect Vince McMahon to announce who the new general manager will be tomorrow night. For the Raw Women's title, we've got Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax. I don't expect the title to come off of Ronda quite yet. The only scenario I could possibly see them taking the title off of her is if she loses the title tonight, enters the Royal Rumble, wins, and then challenges the SmackDown champion for WrestleMania. But beyond that, I fully expect Ronda to retain the championship tonight. For the WWE title, Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. This is another one like Rollins and Ambrose. I don't think either one of these guys is capable of having a bad match. So this is another one that could steal the whole show. For the SmackDown Women's Championship, this one is what I'm hoping will be the main event of the night, the final match of the show. A three-way TLC match between Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Asuka. Becky is the hottest wrestler in the company right now, and I don't expect her to lose that title anytime soon. I've got a singles match, Finn Balor and Drew McIntyre. Like I said, McIntyre seems to have been tapped by Vince McMahon to be kind of the new top guy on Raw, so I'm definitely expecting him to come out on top in this one. We got a ladder match with Elias and Bobby Lashley. This one's a little weird because it's not for a title or anything. Instead, they're going to have the guitar hanging in the middle of the ring. And I guess whoever gets to it first gets to use it, kind of more or less like a guitar on a pole match, except it's a ladder match. So, but I'm expecting Lashley to win this one. Wouldn't surprise me to see Heath Slater as the referee. Definitely expect Leo Rush to get involved. So I think Lashley's going to come out on top in this one. For the SmackDown Tag Team titles, we've got the Bar, the New Day, and the Usos in a triple threat match. I'm looking for the Bar to come out on top in this one. Tables match between Ruby Riott and Natalya Neidhart. Expecting Ruby Riott to win this one. There's been some controversy around this one because of the Jim Neidhart stuff that's kind of been used in this feud. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. I mean, if Neidhart's family is okay with it, if Natty and her mother and everything, if they signed off on it and they were okay with it, then I don't think anybody else should really have too much to say about it. I don't see it as disrespecting the dead. I see it as WWE's way of honoring him and his legacy. So, that's really all I have to say about that. For the Cruiserweight Championship, Buddy Murphy defending against Cedric Alexander. I'm expecting Murphy to retain in this one. He is the hottest guy on 205 Live right now. And finally, we've got a chairs match between Rey Mysterio and Randy Orton. The way Randy Orton has been pushed lately, he's really been really dominant over everybody he's been put into rivalries with. So I don't think Rey Mysterio is going to be too much different. I'm looking for Orton to come out on top in this one. So, getting to the topic of the week here, I mentioned last week that I was going to be doing a 3-part series to close out the year, counting down my top 100 wrestlers of all time. Now, my original plan, I was going to include, men, women, tag teams, pretty much everything. And I found out pretty quick while I was putting this list together that it was impossible. I had well over 100 names within, as soon as I sat down and started writing. So this particular list is going to be the top 100 male singles wrestlers of all time. I've actually started separate lists for the top women of all time and the top tag teams of all time. So I'll be doing those on future episodes of the show. But for this particular 3-part show closing out the year, I'm going to be counting down the top 100 male singles wrestlers of all time, in my opinion. And, got to remember, that's exactly what this is. It is 100% my opinion. These are my picks. My picks, my order. This is definitely not a definitive end-all be-all list. This is just how I see it and who I see as the top 100 of all time. If you guys disagree, if you think I forgot somebody who should be there, if you think I put somebody in who doesn't belong there, if you think I put somebody in the wrong space, if somebody's too high, too low, whatever the case may be, hey, you know what? Shoot me a comment. Put a comment on Facebook. Shoot me a tweet. Shoot me an email. Hey, anything. I'm always welcome to hear. Welcoming to what you guys have to say. So let's dive right in here right off the bat. I've got kind of a controversial decision. Some people are going to say this person should not be on the list at all. Some would say he belongs much higher than number 100. The way that I see it is I'm not looking to erase anyone from history. This person to me definitely belongs on the list. But the reason I put them at number 100 is not because of what they did inside the ring, but more so outside the ring. But their accomplishments and contributions to the business, warrant them at least being on the list. Number 100 is Chris Benoit, and that's pretty much all I'm going to say about him. Number 99 is Christian, and some people would say he doesn't belong in this list, but if you you look back at his career, I think he is held up unfairly most of the time and compared to Edge, which you really can't do. I mean, yes, they were a tag team for a very long time and one of the best tag teams of all time, in my opinion, but their separate singles careers, you can't really compare them to each other. I mean, Christian was an NWA champion, a TNA champion, WWE World Champion, and ECW champion. He's been Intercontinental Champion. He's pretty much done everything you can do in wrestling, and why he's not in the Hall of Fame actually kind of surprises me. But I think he'll end up there one day. But for me, definitely in the top 100 of all time. Number 98 is The Miz, former World Champion, Intercontinental Champion, Tag Champion, U.S. Champion. Definitely a future Hall of Famer. And, this is a guy that a lot of people didn't take seriously when he first started. He came in, he was this reality TV star, MTV guy, whatever. And, not everybody took to him right away. Wasn't very well liked. And he has grown into one of the top guys in WWE right now. For me, the best heel in the company, and has definitely earned a spot in the top 100 of all time for me. Number 97 is Bill Goldberg. This is a guy, probably had the fastest start of anybody in the history of the business, and really became that guy, that kind of started the downfall, I guess, of the NWO by defeating Hulk Hogan and taking the world championship from him, and just became a huge star in a really short amount of time. Number 96 is Kevin Sullivan, and I put him on this list more so for his booking. I mean, he was great inside the ring, one of the best heels ever, in my opinion. But, you got to remember, this is a guy that booked a lot of the NWO storylines back in the day. So he's more than earned his spot just by contributions to the business. Same thing for the person at number 95, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. Was the original booker of ECW back when it was Eastern Championship Wrestling before Paul Heyman came in. Worked with Paul Heyman in ECW for quite a long time before Paul took it over and turned it into the ECW that we all came to know and love, Extreme Championship Wrestling. Number 94, Ravishing Rick Rude. This is, Rude is the quintessential archetype of what the arrogant pretty boy heel is. I mean, you look at anybody who does that kind of gimmick nowadays, and there are elements of Rick Rude, whether you're talking about Joey Ryan or anybody along those lines. Rick Rude has some kind of influence on that particular gimmick. And also, again, a former world champion, Intercontinental Champion. He's been all over, as far as all over the world, in World Class, New Japan, WCW, WWE, and just really one of the best heels ever. Number 93 is Ivan Koloff. For those of you that aren't too familiar with Ivan Koloff, he's probably best known for his WCW days, actually NWA to be more specific, back in Crockett Promotions, part of the Russian team with Nikita Koloff and Crusher Khrushchev. Tag team champions multiple times, but this was also the guy that ended Bruno Sammartino's 8-year WWF championship reign, and is just again the kind of quintessential foreign heel, the Russian Bear as he was known, and so definitely deserves a spot on this list. Number 92 is Booker T, the five-time world champion, and King of the Ring, Intercontinental Champion, U.S. Champion. Actually, I don't know if he was Intercontinental Champion, but anyway, he one of the all-time greats. Number 91, Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog. Now, this is one people would probably go more towards his tag team accomplishments, but he is I think one of the more underrated singles wrestlers. I mean, you think back to SummerSlam 1992, I believe it was, he and Bret Hart in the main event of SummerSlam for the Intercontinental title in Wembley Stadium in front of 80,000 people, probably the best SummerSlam match of all time. So that's, Davey Boy Smith at number 91. At number 90, for me, the original hardcore icon, Abdullah the Butcher. He's one that was never in one place for too long. He was always that special attraction, brought in kind of like the bounty hunter most times to take out whoever the top baby face of the territory was. Number 89, one of the most underrated guys in wrestling, in my opinion. That's Christopher Daniels. I don't know if underrated is the right word, maybe taken for granted, because everybody knows Christopher Daniels gets in that ring, you're going to have a great match. I mean, this is a guy who got in the ring with Stephen Amell at All In and put on a fantastic match with somebody who doesn't have a whole lot of experience. And, Christopher Daniels made him look like gold, in my opinion. And again, he's been everywhere. TNA, Ring of Honor, and just one of the all-time great independent stars. And he's one who has made a phenomenal career without the WWE behind him, and that says a lot about him. Number 88, Hiroshi Tanahashi, another guy that I think not really underrated, because he, everybody sings his praises. Really the workhorse of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Been a top guy in the company for many years, and he's got his IWGP Championship match coming up at Wrestle Kingdom in just a couple of weeks here with Kenny Omega. So Hiroshi Tanahashi, number 88. Number 87, Jeff Hardy, another one who I think people relate more with tag team wrestling, but he's been a WWE champion, a TNA champion. He and Matt Hardy together held the TNA, Ring of Honor, and WWE Tag Team Championships within the same calendar year, something I don't think we'll ever see again. And just a really, an innovator of the TLC matches. And just one of the top high flyers ever. Number 86, one of the best technical wrestlers of all time is Dean Malenko, cruiserweight champion. Didn't really get the push in WWE that he did in WCW, but I think in WWE he's more known for his work behind the scenes as a producer. But you can't deny the career that he had inside the ring, from ECW to WCW, even into WWE. Number 85 is Kevin Von Erich. Member, of course, of the famous Von Erich wrestling family from World Class Championship Wrestling days from the territories, and the only surviving member of the Von Erich family right now, Hall of Famer, and just one of the, as far as territories goes, one of the all-time greatest, most popular guys ever to set foot in a ring in the old territories. Along the same lines, number 84 is Michael P.S. Hayes, founding member of the Fabulous Freebirds, another guy who's really an innovator. Freebirds were the first guys to use rock and roll music for their ring intro. And if you look at, again, some of the more arrogant, classic type heel guys, you see a lot of Michael Hayes influence. You go back and you watch a Michael Hayes ring entrance and compare that with a Shawn Michaels ring entrance, you're going to see what I'm talking about as far as a lot of those similarities go. Number 83, the Junkyard Dog, top guy in the Mid-South territory for a long time with Cowboy Bill Watts. Really the first African-American wrestler to be put in that position of a top guy, and he took and he ran with it, and he was the man for the Mid-South territory. Packed arenas all over the place, including the Superdome in New Orleans, and just one of the best ever in the territory days. And not didn't have a bad run in WWE, never really held any titles in WWE, but in his territory days he was one of the best. Number 82, Diamond Dallas Page. Here's a guy who got into wrestling at the age of 35. Nobody really thought he would do very much. Didn't think he'd make it past mid-card. And he's one, his work ethic is untouchable, in my opinion. And he wanted to get into wrestling. He did it and became really the top guy in WCW there for a little while. 3-time world champion. Unfortunately, again, another one that didn't really transition to WWE, didn't have the same level of success in WWE that he did in WCW. But talking about his WCW career, one of the top guys, he was really kind of the flag bearer for WCW. Him and Sting were the two top baby faces there in the fight against the NWO. Number 81, Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, probably one of the top 2 or 3 greatest heels of all time. Just the the arrogance, the money, everybody's at a price, that laugh. And but even prior to that, he's another one who was a mainstay in Mid-South Wrestling and the UWF. Really back in the UWF days, it was him, Dr. Death Steve Williams, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan were kind of the top baby faces in UWF before Hacksaw and DiBiase made their way to the WWE. Number 80. Again, probably one of the most underrated, most taken for granted guys in wrestling is Goldust. Here's a guy, Dustin Rhodes, son of Dusty Rhodes, signed by WWE, given this androgynous type character gimmick, and a lot of guys might not have known what to do with it, and he took it and he ran with it, and he's been Intercontinental Champion, Tag Team Champion, and he's still going today. I mean, this guy, he's probably in better shape now than he was when he was 18 years old. The guy does not age, never really had injury issues or anything like that, and has just kind of quietly become one of the best ever to step into that ring. Number 79, I've got Samoa Joe. And here's another guy, Ring of Honor World Champion for what seemed like years, and moved to TNA's World Champion there. He's been NXT Champion, and just his in-ring style, he's kind of got that almost like a hybrid style between like a Japanese strong style, but then he can also do some of the really more agile type moves that you wouldn't expect to see from a guy his size, and just all around, fantastic in the ring. Number 78, Tully Blanchard, member of the Four Horsemen, World Television Champion, Tag Team Champion, of course, with Arn Anderson on multiple occasions. Known a lot for his feuds with the guy that I have at number 77, which is Magnum TA, perennial United States champion back in Jim Crockett promotion days, and by all accounts was the next in line for the NWA World Championship until a car accident ended his career prematurely. Fortunately did not lose his life, but did lose his career as a result of that car accident, and it's one of those what could have been type of stories. Very similar to the next person on the list at number 76, which is Kerry Von Erich, the only one of the Von Erich family to ever make it to the WWF, and did have an Intercontinental Championship reign. Was the world champion for a long time. Had some pretty famous matches with Jerry Lawler for the world class title as well as the AWA title, and unfortunately battled a lot of demons in his personal life, and just really kind of never was able to defeat those demons, and unfortunately ended up taking his own life at a very young age. So another one of those what could have been type stories. Number 75, I have the Ultimate Warrior. This is another one a lot of people may argue with that he shouldn't be on this list at all. But it's not just about his wrestling ability; it's just his charisma, and he's one. I mean, I'm one of the ones that cheered for him to beat Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6 back in the day. So, and he's one that really got me into wrestling to begin with. I originally saw him as the Dingo Warrior in World Class Championship Wrestling, and even prior to that, as part of the Blade Runners with Sting, and they're very, very early on in their careers. And I just don't think you can deny the impact that he had on the business. Number 74, another workhorse, another guy that I don't think gets the credit he deserves a lot of the time, is Tommy Dreamer. I mean, you look at the length of time he's been in the business, from the early and mid 90s with ECW, all the way up to today, running House of Hardcore and working with Impact Wrestling with MLW, and he's been everywhere and done everything that there is to do in pro wrestling, and is just again one of the workhorses in the business. I mean, just this year alone, he's worked over 200 dates, which just goes to show his level of dedication and and love for the business. Number 73, Seth Rollins. And some people may think he hasn't been around long enough or anything like that to be a part of this list. I wholeheartedly disagree. Of course, formerly known as Tyler Black, former Ring of Honor champion, and has been one of the top guys in WWE for the last several years, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. So Seth Rollins, number 73. And number 72, one of the greatest high flyers, innovators of all time, Superfly Jimmy Snuka. This is a guy whose influence can be seen in pretty much anybody who wrestles a high-risk, high-flying style, even today. Same thing with the person, number 71, the Dynamite Kid. In my opinion, probably the greatest light heavyweight of all time. Another true innovator. You can see his influence a lot in a lot of the cruiserweight wrestlers, especially guys that have not a totally grounded style, but maybe a more grounded style or a hybrid kind of style, if you want to put it that way. Who do have that mat-based style, but can go to the air when needed. That's really what the Dynamite Kid was. Number 70, I've got Shinsuke Nakamura. Really one of the more innovative Japanese stars. He was one of, maybe not the first, but one of the first that you saw incorporate kind of the more charismatic, eccentric, flamboyant kind of personality styles, along with the strong style in the ring. And somebody who, in my opinion, has been sorely underutilized since making his way to the WWE main roster. I'm hoping that'll change, but if not, I wouldn't be surprised to see him back in New Japan sometime, whenever his WWE contract is up. Number 69 is Cody Rhodes. And this is mostly just based on the last couple of years that he's had in the business. I mean, this is a guy that walked away from WWE, took a gamble on himself, and won, in my opinion. I mean, this is the guy who had a huge hand in organizing the All In pay-per-view earlier this year. Probably the biggest, most successful indie show in history, and he's just become the top guy in the world, in my opinion, right now, currently in professional wrestling. Number 68, and the last one for today, for the first third of this list, is Kazuchika Okada, really the face of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Had a record-setting reign as IWGP World Champion. Had 4 of the greatest matches of all time with Kenny Omega over the last couple of years, and those matches, really, the only thing I've ever even heard them compared to was the series of matches between Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat, which says a lot, because those, again, some of the greatest matches of all time. So that pretty much rounds out the first third of my top 100. Let me know what you guys think. Do I have some people too high? Do I have some people too low? Do I have some people who you don't think should be on the list at all? Maybe you don't think Christian belongs in the top 100, even though he's at number 99. Maybe you don't think The Miz belongs there. Maybe you think Okada should be higher than number 68. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. And shoot me a message on Facebook. Shoot me a tweet. Also hope everybody's following on Instagram and Snapchat. Hope you're checking out the show on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, and Twitch. And if you want to shoot me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. I will be back next week with the next 33 names on my list. But for right now, hope everybody has a good week. Hope everybody enjoys the TLC pay-per-view tonight. And I will be talking to you guys soon.